that is what will take you to the other side. That will be the biggest, that will be the biggest rooting of transformation, is to get out of the comfort zone, get used to be out of that comfort zone, embrace change, because change is a constant and change can be a beautiful thing.
Welcome to the Fearless Happiness Podcast, where we showcase phenomenal individuals who have overcome serious traumas, life obstacles, and challenges to find their own path to fearless happiness. Listen as Max Naist invites guests from all around the world to share their experiences and spread strength, hope, and faith. This is the Fearless Happiness Podcast, and this is Max Naist.
All right, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this world. This is Max from the Fearless Happiness Podcast. And today I have another amazing guest. You know, the universe has been blessing me with all these amazing guests, and today's no different. So what I like to do, Blanca, is have you introduce yourself to my audience. Who are you? What it is you do? And then you and I are going to rock and roll.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for that, Max. I love that. Let's rock and roll it, definitely. My name is Blanca Rodriguez. I am the owner of Wounded Healer LLC. Under this umbrella, I provide services of licensed massage therapy, certified canine massage therapist, holistic life coaching. I'm a fitness instructor and dance teacher for populations 45 and over. I'm a speaker, educator, volunteer, and Amazon bestselling book co-author. So I love all the hats that I wear. I love what I do, and what an honor it is for me to be here, definitely.
Well, the honor is all mine. Thank you for gracing us with your presence today and joining me so we could, share some light with the world, which we know the world could always use more light. And I'm so glad you're here. You do wear a lot of hats. I love that. Right. So, but let's talk about like where it all started. Let's go back. You go as deep as you want, but go back and share with the audience your story of like the stuff you have gone through that helped you. I like you said, so you're a canine massage therapist as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? If my dogs were in this room, they probably perk their ears up and go, oh, that's what we need. Right?
Oh, I love it.
Our spoiled little brats, but especially the older ones. But anyway, I'm getting off track a little bit, but we'll get there. But tell my audience some of the struggles and challenges that you've had to overcome that brought you to where you're at today.
Ever since I was a little girl, my parents are Puerto Rican, and my father, he always had the American dream in mind. He was a math teacher in Puerto Rico, and that wasn't enough for him. Before that, he was in the armed forces. He went all over the world, and he wanted more for life than just being a math teacher. So in the early 60s, and in the 50s, there was a big exodus of Puerto Ricans to New York City specifically, and my father was no exception. He grabbed the kids, grabbed the wife, and New York City, here we come. And with a lot of work and dedication, he conquered the American dream. But this man, he was a very giving soul. He was an abundant man, but he shared his abundance with everybody. He was always helping others. He was helping his family in Puerto Rico. He was a very giving, an amazing human being. And I learned from my parents what helping others is. I learned it since I was a little teeny tiny girl. I was always helping in some way or form. So that was like really deeply instilled within me. Everything was wonderful. Life was abundant. Life was great until a fateful day, November 1973. My father's life was taken way too soon in armed robbery gone terribly wrong in his jewelry store. And of course, life was never the same again. And people that have lost their loved ones over tragedies like this, life is just never the same again. Let's put things the way they are here. And with my father's death, a box of worms really definitely opened. My mother went into a deep depression and she never recovered from it. She was with chronic untreated mental illness to a very advanced age in her life. This was the time in life where talking about mental illness was demonized. It was It was just, you just don't talk about mental health. You don't talk about mental illness because it was bad. It was like, if you have mental illness, basically it was the end of your life. And that was the mindset back in those days. And another uh, episode that I went through with my father's passing was that we were in the mindset of, shh, you don't talk about the dead because talking about the dead hurts too much. And me, in my 8-year-old mind, I thought that since talking about the dead or talking about my father's death was wrong, I thought in my mind that anything that was bad, you cannot talk about. Because the first thing that was wrong in my life, and that was bad, was my father's death, of course.
Right.
And after that, definitely I went deep down a rabbit hole from there. And I was doing some research not long ago, and it is proven that 2/3 of all children from all over the planet will have some traumatic experience by the time they reach 16 years old, whether it is the tragic passing of a loved one, being bullied by family members at and or at school, or sexual assault. I went through all of these by the time I was 9 years old. And of course, me in my mind, I thought that keeping quiet what was the best way to go, because I didn't understand grief. I was always called, she's the little one, she's small, she doesn't understand, she's small, she's just a little kid, she doesn't understand. And that gave a big rooting for my low self-esteem, my low self-worth, my shame, because when I went through sexual assault for the first time, I was 9 years old. I didn't have the slightest comprehension of what happened to me. All I knew is that I was violated, that I was invaded of who I was disrespected, and it was extremely humiliating. So when going through so much so soon in an 8-year-old body, it takes a toll, and untreated childhood trauma can really change our lives for the rest of it. Definitely. I went through many decades of silence, of humiliation, feeling that I wasn't worth being supported, that my word was not worth it at all, because since my childhood, all I heard is like, you shut up and you go to your room. You're a little kid, you go to your room. And another thing that I laugh about it now, thank God, it was, you talk when the chickens pee. It was a cultural thing. Where did that come from? I have no clue, but it was equally demeaning, and it was equally humiliating. It's like, wow, I talk when the chicken does does number 2 or number 1 or both, I don't know. And definitely that was another one of the many words that I receive. And my mother, unfortunately, with her chronic mental illness, it was a very confusing, unstable environment. My mom, she can be very loving at one moment, and then the next time she could turn into a very violent person. And most of the time, unfortunately for my mother, she was a very violent person, emotionally, physically. She was very violent. She grew up in extreme poverty. She grew up in total abuse, neglect, abandonment. Her father passed away when she was a little kid, and it was it was like this generational trauma that was passed from generation to generation. And when I decided to take matters into my own hands, I was 32 years old and my son was born. Before those times, I was into hard partying. I was into drugs. I was into alcohol. I was jumping from person to person, looking for something in the outside that I could only find within myself. And I was looking for attention and attention and attention, the attention and validation that I lacked from such an important figure as my mother. And of course, with the loss of my father, I was looking for that validation in the form of whoever wanted to give it to me. And this is human nature. This is just the way in this we deal with these things in this human experience. And certainly I deal with that. And many mistakes made, many dark seasons, many monsters that I was running away from. And this is the thing. We don't confront trauma from running away from it. We confront trauma by facing it. And when I gave birth to my son in my 30s, that was the beginning of a restart button that is going on to this day. It was time to get out of that bubble. It was time to get out of the pity party of me
Right.
being the victim, because this is another thing. If we get a huge complex of being everybody's victim, because it's the world's fault what happened to me. I am not responsible because I went through trauma, and that's the best excuse anybody can use. I went through trauma. I went through horrible experiences in my life, so I'm everybody's victim. And the time had to come when I had to get out of that vicious circle, because it was eternal. It can be eternal. It can last a lifetime. With me, it lasted since I was 8 years old all the way to my 30s. So it was decades upon decades of going around that vicious circle of being so-called functional. I went to school. I graduated. I had an apartment. I had a car. I had a consistent job, but it was a facade. I was only covering with a facade the real me, and the demons that were following me no matter where I went in life. When I gave birth to my son, that was the beginning of a change in my life. But upon the birth of my daughter, that is when really my heart and my soul clicked. And I said, in order for me to give a better life to my kids
Right.
and stop this vicious cycle, I have to change. And it has to begin with me, definitely. Yeah, I was in an abusive relationship with the father of my kid and of my kids. And then again, I go straight back to my childhood, living in a violent environment, the violent death of my father, the violence within my mother. And I definitely, that was a habit that it was built over the years and over and over and over. So I ended up with a very violent person in a world plagued with domestic abuse. And until I stopped the cycle, nothing else was going to be done about it. And I really did stop it, because I follow this inspirational speaker. His name was Jim Rohn. And he used to say, life doesn't get better by chance. It gets better by change. From the moment of conception to the moment of our death, we are changing. In
Right.
this human experience, we don't go without change. It's like breathing and sleeping. We don't go without change, and only we can make change happen.
I love that, Blanca. I mean, listening to your story reminds me, it sounds like our parents came from that same generation of when anything bad happens, you don't talk about it, right? You keep it in the family. When anybody comes over or we go anywhere, you put on the smile, and yeah, I've grew up in that, right? And especially us younger, like you said, the kids were always to be seen and not heard. You're not allowed to
That's right.
say, you're not allowed to have a conversation or say how you feel without being told, like, oh, now you're being a smart ass, excuse my language.
Yeah,
So I'm
right.
gonna, right. So I'm gonna smack you upside the head and
Yeah.
speak only when spoken to. And I don't want to hear any complaining.
Exactly. Or I grab you with a chancleta, and the chancleta will just fly all over the place. Or I grab the guava stick. Oh, yeah. I had a taste of the guava stick, the chancleta, the mango stick. Oh, you name it.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it was, okay, stop talking. You're not supposed to shut up. And that is, your word is worth nothing. So how terrible is that? Definitely.
Exactly. It's horrible, right? But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
also the things when you look back now, as you say, when you said you quit being the victim, those are the things that shaped who you are today, right? Because
Absolutely.
you didn't let it keep you stuck in there. Yes. Like
Mhm.
okay, I got sober at 32. So kind of similar stories where it was like, I'm tired of playing the victim. I need to make a change because I'm either going to die doing what I'm doing, of course, right? Because you can only do so many drugs and alcohol before it catches up to you, or I'm going to
Right.
go to a prison for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about the mental health thing, that same back then, no one talked about being depressed
Mm-hmm.
or, and I know I've walked around like my mom or aunts and uncles, and I knew something wasn't right. They were going through something, right? But we
Mm-hmm.
weren't allowed to right? And like nowadays, it sounds like you and I have those open conversations with our kids. Like, hey,
Oh, absolutely.
it's okay.
Always.
It's okay to share how you're feeling. I'd rather have you share it with me and let's talk about it than you hold it in, right? Because you and I know what that feels like to hold it in for
Oh, yeah.
so many years and
Hmm.
be, and hearing like that was devastating for your mom to lose her husband,
Oh,
obviously.
yeah. Absolutely.
It reminds me of my brother-in-law, right? Because when they lost, well, my wife was 17 when she lost her father. I mean,
Hmm.
he was already struggling with autism, or he was, diagnosed autistic.
Okay.
But
Wow.
when his
Mm.
father passed away, schizophrenia kicked in, like, because like you said, mom, it comes from an older generation and she doesn't know how to handle it. She's going through her grief.
Yeah.
And we could get into a whole story about my, on anyway, but you get where I'm going with this,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
But like you said, like life is about change, constant change. You're either going to
Hmm.
learn to change and grow with the
Hmm.
uncomfortable things you go through, learn how to grieve, right? Because you're going to go through all the, like, the 5 stages of grief. One
Oh,
minute
yeah.
you're going to be crying, next minute you're going to want to rip someone's head off because you're angry.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then you're bargaining.
Hmm.
And um so listening to your story is I want my audience to understand that, because I know there's people out there, right, whether in my audience, that are suffering from anxiety, depression,
Hmm.
or maybe know people that have gone through what you've gone through. So they're probably listening like, okay, how did Blanca do this? So, you have your son, right? He's the older of your two
Yeah, he's
children,
the oldest. Yes.
right?
Hmm.
And you decide like it's time, like you said, to break that generational curse.
Yes.
How did that happen for you when you finally realized, like, I cannot do what I'm doing because it's going to carry on? Because as they say, you never know who's watching, but we know who's watching as parents, right? You
Right.
may think you're
Hmm.
getting away with stuff, but when they're little, those little eyes are watching every move mom and dad make.
Yes.
So,
And we absorb everything like a sponge. It's
right.
unavoidable. Oh, yeah. It's
Because
unavoidable.
it's exactly what happened to you, right? Like you
Hmm.
saw what was going on, and you know it wasn't no one came out and said it, but you started just going inside, right? Like, I can't, because I can't tell him this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to hold all this in.
Yeah.
So then, right, as you know, that kind of behavior will lead it to other acting out in other areas. So how did that
Hmm.
change for you when, like, your son was born and you probably took a look in the mirror and said, yep, it's time to change. How am I going to do this?
Yeah, definitely. When I got pregnant for my son, the first thing that happened is that I had no interest in becoming a mother, but it happened and it was for a very powerful reason. I decided to keep my baby. I was torn in between, is this going to happen or not? Because I am not ready for any of this. I was too busy being selfish, being careless, and being in a deep rabbit hole of my pity party, my bubble, my partying, and me pretending that I'm fabulous and have this wonderful life when on the I mean the real rooting was far away from all this supposed fabulous that I was living. And when I decided to have my kid, everything started changing immediately when I started to feel that, okay, someone else is in my body. What am I going to do now? Because I never, no woman knows, has any comprehension of what it feels to have somebody else in that body moving, but until you experience it yourself. And in my story is this, it's like, holy shit, I am having a kid and I don't know where my life is going, but I'm going to make this work no matter what. And the moment that I gave birth to my son, I understood that this was not about me anymore. This was about taking care of a defenseless being, that and make sure that no harm will come to him. He is one of the coolest kids I ever met in my life. He's such a beautiful soul, this young man, and I'm very grateful and blessed to have him in my life. And with his birth, I understood that I had to assume much more responsibilities, that at the end of the day, it was all up to me because the father of my kids, he was intermittent. We had a horrific, unstable relationship, full of emotional violence, full of ups and downs, in and out. He comes and goes. He was mentally unstable as well. Sounds familiar? Yes. Generational trauma repeating itself over and over. And then I started my changes by making the decision of going back to school. I decided to go back to school to do something better with my life because I was tired of being a secretary. Then I got pregnant for my daughter. But that didn't stop me at all because I made my decision. I gave birth to my daughter. And after the birth of my daughter, I went back to school at age 38. Remember, guys, it's never late for a new start.
That's
I
right.
went back to school at age 38 with two little kids in an abusive relationship to be a massage therapist. I'm a licensed massage therapist for almost 20 years already. And that is one of the biggest blessings and miracles that God gave me in the form of schooling. That's when I was introduced dive straight head on to holistic lifestyle, body, mind, and spirit, working together as a team, not as separate entities.
Right.
And when I started practicing more massage therapy, going into breathing, going into meditation, starting to learn what meditation meant, going into prayer, starting into practicing gratitude for the simplest things we have in life. That restart button of transformation really hit on me, and I didn't look back. And this is really funny because I was at a random doctor's office waiting for my ex-partner, and there it was right in front of me, an amazing simple book about personal growth called The Secret. And I said,
I love it.
holy smokes, I have so many secrets in my life that I could write a book about my secrets. I grabbed that book. I didn't put it down. And that from there, I grabbed every single book that I could put my hands on. I went to counseling. I went to psychotherapy. I went to grief counseling. I did traditional Chinese medicine. I did Reiki treatments. I did everything that I could put my hands on to start healing this broken soul. I did. But it's not only about grabbing those tools, taking a look and putting them down. Okay, I did that enough. It's about grabbing the tools, using them on a consistent basis, because we are beings of habit, and a habit, it takes 21 to 67 days to build a habit, and in many cases much more than that. If the habit is too instilled in you, if that habit has a rooting that is too deep, it takes a long time for you to get out of that habit. So I started building habits of really trying to like myself a little bit more, because I didn't like the woman that I saw in the mirror for a very long time. Even though I was a professional dancer for many, many years, all I admired and I loved seeing in the mirror was the woman that was dancing, teaching her students in a Zumba class, going to the show, and all of these things. But when it came to taking a deep, long look at that woman and saying, what the hell have you done with your life? What are you going to do about it now, huh? What the hell are you going to do about it now? Wake the F up. And it was time for a change. And these changes, it got me out of my comfort zone. And when I mean out of my comfort zone, I started to face myself and face my own demons and face my past. It was time to go straight back to that 8-year-old girl and tell that 8-year-old girl, you know what, honey, whatever it is that happened, you have nothing to do with it. Life really got lifing for you, and whatever happened to you is gonna be okay no matter what. And I'm a true believer that the wounds are not our fault, but the healing is our responsibility. So I finally assumed my responsibility at a later age in life with 2 kids after I went to school. In from the moment my son was born, I was 32 years old. My daughter was born, I was 35 years old. And this was a process let it last for years to come. My healing process, it will take for the rest of my life, because what are we going to do when those triggers happen all of a sudden and for no reason at all? What are you going to do? Are you going to go deep down that rabbit hole again of and no and not finding your way out, or you're going to say, nah, I'm safe now. These triggers happen, and my new having these triggers are horrible because it will take you back to a memory, straight back to where you were when you were age 9, when you were age 11, when your cousin abused you at age 12 in your own home and nobody noticed. So when it's very important to pay close attention of what are you going to do when these triggers happen out of the blue and there's no warning. That's the thing. And this is when you pick up these tools and you say, God, thank you, because I know I'm safe. I am so grateful because I love myself enough to say, I forgive you. I love you. You're human. Step into your power. You made it. You're still alive today for a reason. You could have easily, I could have been the statistic of ODing in drugs and 2 kids were left alone, or an abusive ex-partner killing me and 2 kids left alone to their own devices. And this didn't happen, and I don't take it lightly. I take it very seriously. I'm grateful every single day of my life because I'm still here, and it's for a very powerful reason. And and it became my mission in life to help others improve their quality of life, no matter what age we are. I'm going to be 60 years old next year, and I'm still learning. I'm still in student mode. I am still learning how to heal and keep on healing the very deep wounds that were in me. But this right here is a beautiful way for a healing process and helping others understand that you're not alone. Don't do what I did. Don't stay quiet. Don't do what I did. It doesn't really take us anywhere but that vicious circle, and the never-ending vicious circle of being lost. And once I found myself, I will never go back to where I was. Never. But that 8-year-old girl that lost her father and didn't know how to cope, and she didn't know where her life was going, I have a picture on my phone of that 8-year-old girl, and I look at her every single day and I tell her, hey, mamita, we made it. We made it through another day, and I'm proud of her for that.
Right. And there's a point, like you said, where you got to forgive that little girl or little boy or wherever age that you could go back and figure that out. Right. And, I shook my head there for a second, everybody. And I'll tell you why, because she says she's almost 60, but she doesn't even look like she's a day over 40. Let me tell you, everybody.
Thank you.
I'm like, she said 60. I'm like, what? But you look great.
Thank
Blanca.
Thank you so much.
Because people hear your story or our stories of drug use and abuse, right? And as you know, you probably have friends or you've seen people, and I know where that has totally affected them, where they're the same age as us, and we go, man, you look like you're a grandpa. Like I'm a 56-year-old grandpa, but people go, I can't believe it. Like, no way. Like,
well, you look great too.
Well, God has blessed us, right? Let us go through all that stuff.
Thank you, Mom, for the genes.
That's what I say. Thank you, Mom, for the wonderful genes.
Absolutely.
But you said something that really profound for me, right? Is going back and letting, as you're going through a healing process, this is everybody, listen to what Blanca said, right? When you're going back, it's not easy because you're going to relive some stuff, but it's stuff that you have to do to let go of, right? Once you, acknowledge, and I had a guess that says, like when stuff happens to us as children, I mean, we don't have to, accept blame, but we also have to, like in anything we do, what is our part in it, right? And even as a child, right, and of course stuff like that is definitely not our fault, but when you can meet that child, like if us right now were to meet our younger selves, we would hug those kids and go, it's going to be okay. Right.
Absolutely.
Like, right, we wouldn't be like the fathers or mothers who beat the crap out, like you said, the
Right.
chanclas or the sticks or the branches off the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Go pick
Mm-hmm.
your one, which, and you think as a little kid, all the thin one's not going to be bad until you get that done.
That's right.
But they grew up in a totally different generation than and we did. And I think
Yes.
for us who have learned through our own struggles or challenges like you have, I mean, what we bring to the world, like you said, I got to say, like when you go to a good massage therapist, you right, that really works on, like they're trying to heal the mind, body, and spirit, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
because I
Without a
think,
doubt.
right, because you get ones that you rush through and you're like, well, that sucked. I'm never going back to that person again. And then you
Mm-hmm.
got stuff like people like yourself who really care and make sure that that person is left better than when they got to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the very important mission that I have with every single of the tens of thousands of patients that I have had in my career till this
Right.
day.
And
Mm-hmm.
you've been doing it a long time, just like I've been a
Yep.
substance abuse counselor a long time. And it was brought to my attention one time. It's just like anything. My sponsor one time said, always, it's like that saying, right? Leave something better than when you got there.
Absolutely.
Right. And they'll
Mm-hmm.
remember you, right? Like, I don't know if it was Maya Angelou, but people will remember you for how you made them feel.
Absolutely. Without a
Right.
doubt.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it could go either way. We could have a bad day and I could be doing my counseling and say the wrong thing. And that client's going to remember, out of all the good times we had, what Max said that day. Oh my God, I'm never going back. Right.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I think, as we find our path, no matter what we pick to help others, you said it, working on the mind, body, and spirit for ourselves first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Helps us become better helpers. I like to say that, the field of helpers, right? Because
Absolutely.
we're actually trying to help somebody feel better. Right. And that can be hard to do sometimes in this day and age with all the, all the tech stuff, everything moves so fast nowadays. Not like when we were kids, right? You go play outside when the lights come on, come in for dinner, and right. We don't have that now. Our kids don't even want to leave the room sometimes because they're playing a video game.
Exactly.
Right?
And this is why there's so much. I mean, there's even a higher rate of obesity, unfortunately, and especially in the US because of a sedentary lifestyle from the moment people are little kids, when you're supposed to be burning those calories and burning that energy so you can just come home, take a shower, do your homework, and go to bed. I was in that generation, definitely. That okay, you go outside and don't come back until dinner time, and don't make me call you because you're gonna get it if if you don't come in for dinner. Just so yeah, I was definitely that generation. Yep.
I love it. Right. That's exactly. You guys you brought back so many memories. Mine would always.
Oh my God, yes.
do not make me come out and yell for you, because then you're gonna get it. Right.
That's right. That's right. Dinner's you're gonna get the chancleta. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dinner's at 5:00 and you better be sitting at the table ready for dinner. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
And my mom was a single mom, so she played the dad and the mom. Even with our stepdad, it was like you didn't want to make either of them mad, but like you said, it was a different time when we grew up. Like we wanted to go play or go ride our bikes and like you said, I see that with kids nowadays, like the weight gain, the obesity, because right. Yes. These are fun, right? Like they serve a purpose, the phone or our iPads, but say go to your room and go play your video games. Like I have, like when I started seeing my kids again, they brought over their PlayStation one time.
Yeah.
And I remember walking in the room and I was trying to catch my son's attention, and he had that look, because he's into the, and I said, that's it. You're never bringing that to the house again. When you come, it's just you and your sisters, and we'll go to the park. We're going to go do stuff, but we're not going to sit on the TV and play video games.
Absolutely.
But Dad, come on, and oh, you're mean. And I go, well, that's just the way it is. But man, this, sharing your story brings back a lot of memories for me. And it inspires me to keep going. Right. Cause you said it right. I got my degree in psychology at 49. I think I was 49 when I finally graduated.
So happy for you.
Right.
That's awesome.
But it's because I surround myself with people like yourself, Blanca, who show me that age is not a factor in anything we do, right? Like,
Absolutely.
you could do like Jim Rohn and all those, personal development guys are pretty
Hmm.
much all say the same thing. Anything you put your mind to, you can accomplish, right? Like I
Hmm.
think I think it's Napoleon Hill that says thoughts become things, or one of those guys,
Yes,
right?
yes. Hmm. Yes,
But we do have
absolutely.
to understand, right? If we're going to have those thoughts, we got to take the action and actually go do something, right? Because,
Hmm.
right, I could say, hey, Blanca, I got this thought, I'm going to be a millionaire in a month. But I come back to you in a month. You say, "Are you a millionaire, Max?" Well, no, I didn't really do anything about it. You'd be like, "Okay, there was where the problem lies, right?" But anybody understands, and you said it too. Growth happens when it's the difficult thing, like when you're uncomfortable. Some of the books I've read, the common theme is learn to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And it sounds that like when you made that decision when your son was coming, that's what you were going to do. And that's what you continue to do. And that's why, you're shining your light like in front of me so brightly, because I could see like you're smiling and
Thank you.
trying, and all the hard work that we put into ourselves, like you said, will benefit those around us, like our children. And in my case, my shoot, 10 grandkids with two more coming,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And that's the legacy I want to leave, is that grandpa
Oh my
had.
God, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. It's very super important for our kids and our kids' kids to understand that grandpa or dad was in a very difficult situation and very deep into very dark seasons in his life and me in my life as well. But we took matters into our own hands with the support and the help that we so very much needed and deserve. But at the end of the day, we can have every single tool at a tip of our fingers. And if we don't decide to use them and do nothing about it, nothing will happen. But on the other hand, you have all of these tools and you actually use them, you will feel, you will see the benefits. You will feel the transformation. Your mindset will definitely change. You're going to see at life from a different lens. It's a beautiful thing. You're not going to feel anymore like your life is full of redundancy, of repetition
Right.
and repetition and repetition of the same crap over and over and over again.
Right.
No, you're going to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And this may be cliched, but it's so true. I was in a very long ass tunnel and I didn't know the way out until I figured it out with the proper help, with the proper tools, picking up those tools and actually using them in a daily basis. That is what will take you to the other side. That will be the biggest, that will be the biggest rooting of transformation is to get out of the comfort zone, get used to be out of that comfort zone, embrace change because change is a constant and change can be a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head, right? Nothing changes if nothing changes, right? Because if
Right.
I, okay, say if Blanca's teaching me all these tools, right? And she says, okay, Max, you've learned the tools, go out and change your life and change the world, right? But I come back in a month and she asks me what's changed, and I go, nothing. She's
Mm-hmm.
going to say, did you use the tools I taught you? And I go, no. And she's just going to shake her head and go, see. But you said one thing that I want my audience to understand too. Whatever you do, you just understand that you don't have to do it alone. Correct? Like
Mm-hmm.
we find our tribe, we find the people that support us, not the ones that are always going to say, hey, Blanca, pat you on the back, everything's going to be fine, just be on your way, you're going to be cool. No, the ones that say, hey, Blanca, I see you going left when you should go right. Like I see
Mm-hmm.
you. You need the ones that are going to hold you accountable.
Those are the ones that really care, the ones that will hold you accountable, the ones that will shake you and say, hey, what the hell? You said you
Right.
were going to do this. What is happening here? I'm a holistic life coach, and in my coaching experience, I am not here to babysit anybody. And this is one thing that I make it, clear as sky from the first session that I have with my clients. I am not here to cure you. I am not here to babysit you. I am here to help you through the steps of the goals that you want to reach. I am here to be your accountability partner. I am here to get you out of your comfort zone. Are you ready to experience a powerful life coaching session? It's a yes or it's a no. And a lot of people can be really intimidated because they don't know what to expect. And when you are scared about these services, jump into them, because that's exactly what you need. And I've been with a life coach. I have a life coach myself for over 3 years, and I won't let go of my life coach. And I am a life coach. But if I am going to my clients and say, hey, this really works, is because I practice it myself, and it really does work. And I'm very grateful to be able to be a receiver and a giver as well. This is what it's all about.
Right. And that's the only way to do it. And you hear that about, if you're a good counselor, you have a counselor. If you're a good therapist, you have a therapist. If you're a good life coach, most 99.9%, they have a life coach. And that's how it is, right? Because you have to have your own sounding board as well, like in order to be very helpful. Like, you need those people that'll go, hey, Max, you're kind of hard here. You might want to change direction a little bit, or keep doing what you're doing because it's working, right? And I always taught in my recovery, right? My mentor, my sponsors always told me, Max, if someone pats you on the butt and tells you everything's going to be okay, run the other way, because it's not going to be. That's not true, right? But if someone says, buckle up, right, you're going to be on the ride of a lifetime and things are going to get tough, but you can do this, that's who you want to hang out with. Like, it's like that saying, right? You want to hang around because you're a direct result of the 5 people you hang out with most.
Oh, yes. There's nothing more true than that. Definitely. You are the reflection of the 5 people closest to you. Choose wisely. Please. Yes.
I love it. This has been such an amazing time, but let's talk about the book you co-author. Let's get into that a little bit. Tell us about that, Blanca.
Yes, my book is called Impact Leadership with Blanca E. Rodriguez, available in Amazon Kindle and paperback. And this was one of those aha moments that really took me into speaking to the masses about my story. I received a random email one day years ago. Would you like to do you think you have the chops to be an author? I was like, well, I have so much secrets that I can write a book. Oh, I remember that. I said that to myself years ago. Book an interview with us for 15 minutes. You may be an author, a book co-author in our next book, in our next publication. Sure, I'll do that. Well, the interview became 45 minutes, and I was crying. The interviewer was crying. I was chosen. And it's one of the biggest blessings I have received in my life, because it's basically my story of falling down and getting the hell back up. And it became a bestseller. And I am in collaboration with 29 different book co-authors from all over the world that we have similar stories. And these stories are about falling down, going through very dark seasons in our lives, and getting the hell back up and keeping on going. And so when I got published, the publishing house told me, well, if you want this compelling story to be heard by the masses, you have to go out there and talk about it. And I was like, well, I am not a speaker. Well, I met Toastmasters International, a mentor of mine. He recommended me tremendously, Toastmasters International, and it has been only forward from there. I didn't know where this chapter will take me in life, but one of the most amazing places that this chapter keeps on taking me is to be here with you right here, right now, talking to as many people as possible about my story of struggles, of falling down, of failing over and over and over, getting back on my feet, stepping into my power, and keep on going no matter what, hitting that restart button no matter what, letting go of the excuse that I'm an older woman and saying, no, I want to do new things, and this is what I'm going to do, and I don't care how old I am. And that definitely opened my mind and my heart to where I am today and to where I'm going to go for the rest of my life, because as long as I have a mind and a voice, I will never stop communicating to as many people as possible that you're not alone. And it doesn't matter how many failures you have had in your life. It doesn't matter how many times you have repeated the same failure in your life. You can always embrace change as long as you work your ass off for it, because the most important investment that we do in this life is the one on ourselves. Never forget that.
Absolutely. That's the biggest investment you can make is in yourself. And I love it, Blanca. You're amazing. And thank you for being here and sharing your story with my audience, and
thank you.
Right. Sharing it with the world, because that's my hope, is that this gets out to everybody and to show everybody. It's like anything, right? You're never too old to learn something new. You're never too old to change. You're never too old to bring value to the world and help others, right? Because ultimately that's what God would want us to do, is help one another, right? And this is my way, like you said, till my dying breath. This is my hope, is to bring people like yourselves to the world and share their stories and continue meeting people like yourselves, and just making this world a whole better place to start letting everybody know, look, you're not, like you said, it's all about letting people know they're not alone in their struggle.
Definitely.
Right. And sometimes it just takes that courage of raising your hand and going, I need help. That's all you have to start with sometimes, right?
Yeah. As a massage therapist, I worked for almost 3 years for 2 rehab centers for drug addiction and alcohol abuse. I was doing massage therapy. We were giving a holistic approach to their recovery, and it has been one of the most powerful experiences in my whole career as a massage therapist. As a massage therapist, we brought light and hope and something different to their lives in the midst of the chaos that it goes on in these centers, because you and I know how chaotic this is. You got to be in there to have a little bit of a comprehension of what goes on with so many different people. And this is the thing, these situations don't discriminate with nobody. I have taken care of the homeless person, and I have taken care of the medical doctor, and the one working in the Pentagon, and the millionaire business owner that went down that rabbit hole and got lost with too much alcohol or too much drugs. But the rooting is very, very, so much deeper than that. And that is something to really explore. But when it comes to these centers, the help that they receive with massage therapy and chiropractic care, and us talking to them and making them feel human again for 10 minutes of their life, that, I mean, they will light up like a Christmas tree.
Oh, that's a gift that you cannot even put a price on.
Oh my God, absolutely.
I've seen it. I've worked in treatment centers that have done that, right? And then done it for the staff. And, even if staff, you feel like, oh, this person is working on me for the next 10 minutes. How cool is that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. This is, like I said, been so great. But now I want to get into the questions I really like to ask you, right? Like my book, it starts with fearless, right? What does fearless mean to you, Blanca, and how does that show up in your life on a daily basis?
To me, fearless, I have lived quite a bit of my life fearless. Jumping into the opportunity of making something better for my life and for my kids. Jumping from a plane at 18,000 feet up in the air in a parachute. I went fearless on that one. I was scared, but once I jumped out of that plane, there was no turning back. Understanding that any decision that we make in life, let it be a fearless one. Even if you're doubting yourself, even if you're scared, when you're scared and you're doubting yourself, that's when you need to be fearless and say, okay, I am going to do this. I went to school at 38 years old. I continuously go to school to keep on bettering myself as a human being and a professional. Always be in student mode. Get yourself out of the comfort zone and be fearless, because when you're fearless, a lot of happiness is gonna come into your life.
I love it. That leads into the next question. Happiness, right? With a Y, as you can see, I put in there. What does happiness mean to you? And how does that show up in your life on a daily basis today?
To me, happiness is waking up in the morning grateful. Grateful for me, starting with me. I'm grateful for me because I work my ass off on becoming the woman that I am today and the human being that I will be tomorrow. I am grateful for my beautiful people. I am grateful for my bed. Do you know that we spend a third of our lives in bed? How important is to have a comfortable bed? So invest in a
Yeah.
bed and you're going to be really happy with that one.
Right.
It's totally
Uh,
worth it. Happiness to me is health, because health is wealth, and without health we have nothing. Happiness to me is self-care. Happiness to me is unconditional love. Happiness to me is receiving and giving. That, and oh my God, I can talk to you forever about things that make me happy. The simplest thing, the biggest things. Being in this podcast right now is Christmas time, and I am being a guest speaker at this powerful podcast, and I am so grateful, Max. Thank you for having me here. And yes, this is one of the, this is another reason for happiness in my life.
I love it. Thank you. And thank you for being here, and gracing us with your presence, Blanca. I've had such a wonderful time. And like you said, we probably could go off on different subjects and be here all for the rest of the evening talking about stuff that we're grateful for, right? Challenges that we're grateful for, and just everything that makes us happy, right? And I love it. I love your energy. I just love what you have brought here today. And thank you. That makes me happy.
Likewise. Thank you.
So if my audience wants to get a hold of you, right, whether it's, ask you questions, becoming a client of your life coaching and anything, how can they get a hold of you?
Yes, you can get a hold of me through my website, www.woundedhealer.us. I am in every social media platform: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, you name it, I got it. And through my website, you can get a hold of me at this. My phone number is there. Call, text me. Please don't do it alone. And I am here to help you. And as a gift for all the listeners, let me give you a holistic life coaching session. You never know what can come out of this. And it's no compromise, no judgment. We can be talking for 20 minutes. We can be talking for 10 minutes. And this is what I have found in this amazing career, that sometimes talking to a stranger, to a professional for 10 minutes can have a life-lasting impact. So take the chance. I'm here to help.
I love it. You better take them up on it, audience. Take her up on it. I'm telling you. Wow, this has been eye-opening and a blessing for me to have you here today. So I really appreciate it. But you're not off the hook just yet. I get to ask you my favorite question, and I always save it for last.
Shoot.
So Blanca, what is the one piece of advice you could give my audience to help them grow as human beings and become better people?
Don't let your past define who you are, and don't let your past define your future. That is my favorite saying to everybody. Let go of the past, learn from the past. Don't forget where you're coming from, but look forward to where you are capable of becoming because of where you were in the past. Never forget that. You got the power. You deserve much better.
You heard that, everybody. She's absolutely correct. You guys deserve much better. So keep putting one foot in front of the other. Again, Blanca, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And doing me the honor of being a guest on my podcast. I'm so appreciative of you and grateful that you're here. Thank you so much. So you heard her, everybody. If Blanca made you think, if she made you smile, if she taught you something, and my famous, if she made you go, I like that. Please go to iTunes and leave a 5-star review so more people can find the podcast. And again, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this world. It's Max from the Fearless Happiness Podcast. Until next time.
Are you tired of being weighed down by life's traumas and struggles? Join the Fearless Happiness lifestyle and let us guide you toward a brighter future. Explore our past podcast episodes and get a copy of the Fearless Happiness book to ignite your inner strength. If you or someone you love is battling addiction or facing challenges related to unresolved trauma, know that we are here for you. Visit maxnijst.org, maxnijst.org, and take the first steps toward finding your fearless happiness. Thank you for listening. This has been a production of Fearless Happiness.